Our guest today on Meet the Press is the author of the controversial study, The Negro Family, Mr. Daniel P. Moynihan. His report, prepared when he was Assistant Secretary of Labor, at first was warmly praised, yet has recently been sharply criticized. Mr. Moynihan, a professor of political science, is now at Wesleyan University.
Here's a quotation, for example, from a recent article by William Ryan, a Harvard psychologist, who criticizes your report in The Nation. And this is what he writes, quote, "The implicit point is that Negroes tolerate promiscuity, illegitimacy, one-parent families, welfare dependency, and everything else that is supposed to follow." Now, that's the criticism he makes of your report. Now, how do you answer those charges?
I can't. I'm not responsible for the fact that he can't read. As E. Franklin Frazier said, and I quoted from him at some length, there is a lot of evidence that the Negro middle-class family, when it gets its opportunity, gets a bearing, is, if anything, more stern, more rigid than most. But the evidence is simply clear. Negro Americans live like any other Americans, and when they're forced into the ghetto and forced into disorganization, they have no more better protections than anyone else.
I'd like to ask you one specific question, which the New York Times quotes you today as saying. You say that 44% of the children in Harlem are illegitimate. Now, how do you know that?
Those are statistics of the New York City Department of Health, sir. 10 health districts in central Harlem, the area which the great American sociologist Kenneth Clark described in his HARU report as having undergone a massive deterioration of the fabric of society and its institutions, and right under our prosperous noses that happened. That hasn't existed for 50 years. That's happened in the last 15 years in this America, and we've been sitting around thinking things have been getting better, and they haven't been getting better for those children.
The black community still clings to this idea that the majority of black men are deadbeat fathers. But the truth is, the data doesn't back that up. Over half of black men, 54%, have never fathered a child. And among those who do, the majority live with and actively raise their kids. So why are we still holding on to this stereotype? Why won't we let it go? To answer that, let's go back in time.
What we gonna do right here is go back. Way back. Back into time.
You just like your daddy. You don't do shit, and you never gonna amount to shit.
Welcome to the dark side.
In 1965, the U.S. government released a report titled The Negro Family, The Case for National Action, or better known as the Moynihan Report. Written by Daniel Patrick Moynihan, it argued that the problems in the black community stem from a tangle of pathology created by absent black fathers and a so-called matriarchal family structure. Now here's the problem. This report wasn't a deep sociological study. It was a political document written during the civil rights era, and it shifted blame away from systemic racism and onto the black family itself. The report told America, and unfortunately convinced many of us, that black men weren't present, that black men didn't care for their children, and that the black family was broken because of them. And from there, the media took that narrative and ran with it.
James, no! Damn!
When it comes to 4-year-old Shania, Joey, you are not.
You ain't shit. You just like your daddy. You don't do shit, and you never gonna amount to shit.
It was great seeing you, son.
You too. Lou, how come you don't want me, man?
Day is here also, and we also have 5 other men. These men, collectively, have 87 children with 50 different women.
With 50 different women.
That is 137 people who are impacted by choices and decisions that you've made. No heat, no judgment.
Sitcoms, news specials, and Hollywood all reinforce the image of the absent, irresponsible black dad. So by the time the actual research started to show otherwise, the stereotype had already become ingrained in our collective memories. So when you hear people say black men don't raise their kids, they're not quoting facts, they're quoting history. They're repeating a narrative rooted in a 1965 government report, not modern reality. Now, let's fast forward to today. What do the numbers actually say? Again, 54% of black men have never fathered children, so that means more than half aren't even in the conversation. So we can push them to the side and focus on the black men who are fathers. And within that 46%, 55% live with all of their children 100% of the time. 18% live with some of their children, and 26% don't live with any of their children. However, that does not mean that they are deadbeat dads. So, when you focus on the fathers only, the majority of black dads are raising their kids. The deadbeat narrative does not hold up. But if you zoom out and look at all black men, that translates to 25% living with all of their kids, 8% living with some, and 12% not living with any. But the sharper truth is this: when black men become fathers, most of them step up, which means the majority of them. And I know you're probably asking, so if the stereotype is false, what's the real issue? It's non-marital childbearing, or in other words, children out of wedlock. According to the CDC and the NCHS, 61% of black women have mothered at least one child, and 69.3% of those births occurred outside of marriage. That means the majority of births in the black community aren't happening within marriage, and often with the same small percentage of men. Not just black men, all men. And it doesn't stop there. The CDC's 2022 abortion surveillance report shows that non-Hispanic black women accounted for 39.5% of all abortions, which is the highest percentage among any racial group. And that's despite black women making up just 13% of the female population. In that same year, black women had over 239,000 abortions, averaging about 657 a day, or about 27 every single hour. So we're not just looking at the children being born outside of marriage, we're also looking at a disproportionate number of pregnancies ending before birth. That's the bigger picture. And again, if the truth is so clear, why won't the community let go of the deadbeat myth? Continuing the deadbeat dad narrative, it deflects accountability. By blaming black men exclusively, we avoid examining the real issue: who women are choosing to procreate with. Many black women are having children outside of marriage with a small subset of men, and repeating the cycle that feeds into the stereotype. It sells. Social media thrives on outrage. Saying black men ain't shit or black men are trash drives clicks, comments, and engagement.
I've never seen an unhappy black woman with a fine-ass white man. I've never seen it. And we could talk about it more. Because the ones that be happy as hell with their white man, they be getting everything that they want. And that's gonna be me next. Happily in love, living a life, they man spoiling them. They just over there. Where the white men at? I'm at the point where I'm sick of you niggas. Like, I am. Y'all give nothing no more. So I'm dating out of my comfort zone now, and I'm gonna get me a Caucasian man.
I am so effing tired of the amount of emotional labor that comes with dating black men.
Black men, y'all need to do better. Y'all really need to do better. There is no reason why I should have a white man, a 6'2", 220, white collar, blue jeans and white sneakers wearing white man, sit right in my face, look me dead in my eyes, didn't blink or stutter not nail one time, and tell me that he cannot understand for the life of him how a black man who looks homeless has the audacity or the courage to approach a black woman.
There are a lot of black men who voted for Kamala, and they believe that voting for Kamala was somehow going to fix the gender divide between black men and black women. And I'm here to tell you that that's not going to happen. We were divested from y'all way before this election. Leave us alone. So I just wanted to make that very clear, that if we were not fucking with y'all before the election, we're still not effing with y'all after the election.
And also, it validates pain. For women who've had bad experiences, the stereotype feels like protection. It turns personal pain into a communal truth. Or in other words, it encourages trauma bonding amongst black women. It protects power. Politicians, activists, and media outlets gain leverage by keeping fatherlessness as the scapegoat.
Fatherlessness, and that there's this epidemic in the black community of fatherlessness. But to date, what have you done to combat fatherlessness in the black community?
Okay, so you're accepting that we have an issue with fatherlessness in the black community. You're accepting that, I assume.
I actually don't. But
I'm
go ahead.
not. You said that.
I didn't think so. So you're not accepting it, and you're asking me, what am I doing about something that you don't accept?
No, you're my question is, it's your campaign, Larry. Larry, this is your campaign. Your campaign is about fatherlessness. I'm giving you the floor to talk about how you have combat fatherlessness because you say it is such an issue in this country, and you don't want to answer the question.
I'm happy to answer the question, provided that you acknowledge that there is a problem.
Larry, get the fuck out of here.
Shifting the focus to marital and procreation patterns forces accountability across the board and also threatens that power. But if we want to break the cycle, we also have to address the solutions, especially for the 39% of Black women who don't have children yet. Those women still have choices to protect themselves from becoming another out-of-wedlock statistic. Here's a couple of solutions for building better outcomes for Black women in our families. Number 1, marriage before children. The single strongest way to reduce non-marital births is simple. Get married first. Data consistently shows that children raised in two-parent married households have better outcomes across the board. Number 2, protect against unwanted pregnancies. Birth control is not taboo. It's a tool. Women should use it if they are not ready for motherhood. Protecting yourself is not weakness, it's wisdom. Number 3, stop using abortion as birth control. Again, in 2022, Black women had nearly 240,000 abortions, accounting for almost 40% of the national total. Abortion shouldn't be a backup plan for repeated risky decisions. Number 4, boost the self-esteem of childless women. Too often, the community pressures women to believe their only worth is in motherhood. But the 39% of Black women without children should be empowered to wait until they find the right man, enter marriage, and build strong family structures. The real issue in our community isn't fatherlessness, it's the marriage and procreation patterns. But until we're ready to have that uncomfortable conversation, the deadbeat dad narrative will keep being recycled. Not because it's true, but because it's familiar. It's also profitable and convenient. So moving forward, all of us in the Black community should try to do our level best in erasing the deadbeat Black father myth. After all the things that I just laid out for you guys in regards to the history, the statistics, everything that we discussed, do you think that the Black community is ready to let go of these lies and face the truth? I would hope so. Peace.